Good day for all of us. Thank you for giving us the chance. I am Risa Sitohang as a project manager in this group. In this nice occasion, we would like to present our second final project with the title Exam Administration System in the Institut of Technology. But before we start our presentation, let us to introduce ourselves. I am Risa Jessica as a project manager, Gabriela Melva Naibaho as analyst, Kevin Martua Aruan as a designer, Kiki Ferawati Sianipar as analyst, and the last Martin Simanjuntak as a programmer. There are some parts will be explained in this presentation. The first is system overview. System overview consists of two types, namely the first is current system and the second is target system. In target system will be explained the form into use case diagram, business process modeling and notation, and the last is a sequence diagram. And the second is a database. In this presentation will be explained about how the form of database like ERD or entity relation diagram, conceptual model, and the last physical data model. And the third we will explain about demo. In this part we will explain about how the system works based on a web, like one of a website. In this section, I will explain about the current system. Current system is a system that works in this time, how they work to do many things in this time. For exam administration system, the system works manually, like use Google Form, Excel, and it will be wasted the time to do the tasks. The role model of the system is administration staff, so they will collect all of the data master in one folder as a reference to implement what they needed to make exam implementation, such as minutes, exam labels, exam schedule, and the supervisor's handover form. Thank you.
Okay, I will continue. In this occasion, I will continue target system. In this part, I will explain about feature and the function that we will do it. Next, okay, there are so many functions about the target system, like qualification that will be lecturers, admin, and administrative staff, and then many of the requests, and all of the functions will be considered into one diagram, namely use case diagram, in the next part. Next, in this part, I will explain about use case diagram. As you know, use case diagram is a diagram that illustrating the relationship actor and the system. Use case diagram can describe an interaction between one or more with the system to be created. Next, use case. This is use case. There are three rules. This is the namely administrative staff, admin, and the lecturer. The first, admin. Admin will manage all of the account of administrative staff and manage all of the account of lecturer. And the last, we manage of the faculties with their study program, class, and the courses. And the second is lecturer. Lecturer requests. Lecturer will be managed the requests and or fill their lecturer requests, and then fill their question 5 form. And the third is administrative staff. Administrative staff is very important to manage all the data to conduct the examination. Administrative staff will be in for the schedule of examination, and then in for the recapitulation of examination, and then manage the level, manage the rectoral request, and then fill out of the data for exam like minutes, attendance list, level question, and the last administration staff will manage the result of the request. Thank you.
Use case, BPMN, and sequence diagram. Next, I will explain about business process modeling and notation or BPMN. Previously, business process refers to a wide range of structure, option chain, activities or tasks conducted by people or equipment to produce a specific or product for a particular user or customer. Business processes are implemented to accomplish a predetermined organizational levels. Some are visible to customer, while others are not. The terms business process may also refer to the cumulative effect of all steps progressing toward a business goal. So, in the development of the administration system of the Institut Teknologi exam implementation, we use this type of management process, which is this type can process that govern the operation of a system. Authentication. This authentication process starts from the actor, where there are three actors in the IT exam administration system, namely electors, BAA staff, and admin, or SDI staff ATDL. Actors start by accessing the administration system of the test, which then the systems will display the login prompt. Then the actor input the data needed in the login prompt, or where the login prompt will display this text file in the form of a username and password and a button sign in. When the actor has clicked the sign in button, then the system will authenticate account data input by the actor. When an account is successfully logged, the system will display the system dashboard page in accordance with the rules of each actor. When the actor finishes using the system and will exit in the system, there is a sign up button that helps the actor to exit the system by displaying a notification whether the actor is sure to exit the system. This authentication is actually the process of verifying actor data into the system. If the data entered by the actor or user does not match, the actor cannot enter the system and the other. Create berita acara. Create berita acara is process of printing berita acara by Staf BAA. The process will start by Staf BAA. The first is access the system and login to the system. When the login, there is two gateways. The first is failed and the second is successful. If the account Staf BAA is failed, the system can give an interruption, and so the Staf BAA will insert the username and password again, and then when the verification is successfully, system can display the dashboard. To create berita acara, Staf BAA will see berita acara per mata kuliah. Furthermore, click button view per mata kuliah, and then system can display specifically berita acara per mata kuliah, and then Staf BAA click button print to print berita acara, and then when the berita acara can print by the system can display data with file in PDF, and then berita acara can print with file PDF, and this process ends. Attendance list or daftar hadir. This process can explain about print attendance list by the Staf BAA. The process can start by Staf BAA with access the system and do a login with the system. If this authentication is successful, the system can display the dashboard. But if the authentication is failed, the system can have interruption, and Staf BAA will input username and password again. And to print attendance list, Staf BAA can choose daftar hadir menus in the dashboard and then see the daftar hadir per mata kuliah. To print by the menus daftar hadir, system can display daftar hadir menus page, and then in this page, Staf BAA can click view button per mata kuliah, and then system can display specifically the attendance list per mata kuliah, and then Staf BAA see the specific attendance list, and by the page there is a button print, and then system when the Staf BAA click the button print, the system can display file data or data file in PDF, and then can print data with PDF file, and the process ends. Import jadwal. Import jadwal is the process of importing a schedule into the system so that the schedule can be seen through the system. This will also be useful for generating other data such as attached level and exam minutes or attendance list. This process can start by the Staf BAA. The first thing that we have to do, or Staf BAA to do, is access the system, and then system can display the login form or the login page, and then Staf BAA input a username and password, and then system can check or authentication the data that the Staf BAA input by click button sign in. When the authentication is failed, and then system can have interruption, so Staf BAA can input username and password again. But when the authentication is successfully, the system can display the dashboard, and then to import the jadwal, Staf BAA can choose button import in this dashboard in the dashboard page, and then system can display search file in computer, and then Staf BAA choose schedule file in their computer, and then click open button open, and then schedule can display in the dashboard, and then so that we can see the schedule in the dashboard page. So this is the end of the process. Faculty CRUD or CRUND. Previously, a CRUD application is one that utilities from to retrieve and return data from a database. The first reference to CRUD operation came from Kilov in 1990 in an article titled From Semantic to Object-Oriented Data Modeling. However, the term was first made popular by James Martin in 1983 book Managing the Database Environment. Here's a breakdown. CRUD procedures perform the insert statement to create a new record. Read procedure read the table's records based on the primary key node within the input parameter, and then update procedure execute an update statement on the table based on the specified primary key for a record within the where clause of the statement, and then delete procedure delete as specified row in the where clause. So this process start by admin or Staf Staf ITDL. The first is access the system, and then system can display dashboard, and admin choose a menu faculty. There is two choices. First is Prodi, prodi, and then the second is class. By choosing the both of that, there is a choices: create, update, delete, and read, or create faculty. Create and update have choices with when we choose create and update, we can input the data, and then when we input the data, we can save the data. When we save the data, there is two gateways: yes or no. When we choose no, we can back to input the data back again, or we can input the data again, and when we choose yes, the data can save. Delete, when we choose delete, we can choose data that we have to delete. There is two choices or in this process is namely gateway. First is yes, or the second is no. When we doesn't know, we doesn't delete the data, we can back to this question, and when we choose yes, the data can delete by the system. And when we choose read, we can have choices. The choices can new data. The data is can set by the data account in database, and end of the process. Labels ujian. This process can explain about process to print labels ujian by Staf BAA. The first action is start by Staf BAA. The first that they can do is access the system, and then system can display a login form, and then the Staf BAA can input username and password, and when they sign in, system can authentication their account, and when there is two gateway, when the authentication have been done, there is failed and successful. When this authentication is failed, system can have interaction, so Staf BAA input username and password again, and when the authentication is successful, system can display a dashboard. So to print label ujian or make a label ujian, Staf BAA choose menu label ujian, and system can display label ujian per mata kuliah. So to print label ujian, Staf BAA klik button view label ujian, and then label ujian can specifically display by system, and the system can display the data, and in this finish of the data there is button print, there is have a button print. So when the Staf BAA click the button print, the data can display with PDF file, and data can print by the system. So there is an view request dosen. View request dosen is a process to see and roll or scroll request dosen by Staf BAA. Request dosen can be references to make a schedule for exam by the Staf BAA. In this process, the first step by Staf BAA is access the system, and the system can see or display a login form, and the Staf BAA can input the username and password, and the system can authentication about the username and that password that can be input by the Staf BAA. And if the authentication is failed, the system can have an interruption. So start BAA, input username and password again, and if the authentication is success, so the system can display the dashboard. To view request dosen, start BAA may have to choose request dosen menus, and then system can display specifically halaman or page request dosen page, and then start BAA choose the button view per request dosen, and it means the request dosen can be displayed specifically by the system. So start BAA can see the specifically request dosen per dosen. So it end of the process. The next is view recapitulation. Recapitulation is a process of summarying of result of the report for the examination. The process can start by the actor. In this place, actor is by start BAA. The first is start BAA access the system, and the system can display the login prompt. So after that, start BAA can input username and password, and then when the start BAA input the username and password, system can verifying or authentication. If the authentication is failed, the system can have interruption. So the actor can start with input username and password again. But if the authentication is successful, system can display the dashboard. So to view recapitulation, actor can choose menus recapitulation menus. So after that, system can display halaman menu recapitulation. So to view, actor can choose button view per recapitulation in the system. So the system can display it. So after that, actor can see specific his recapitulation. So it is the last or end of the process. Next is add icon. This process can explain about how to add an icon by admin or BAA staff ITD-PAII. The icon can have two roles to add. The first is lecturer, the second is BAA staff. In this process, can do by admin or SDI staff. The first, admin access the system, so the system can display dashboard, and then staff BAA or admin choose the menu navbar staff BAA to add icon of staff BAA. There is 4 gateways to admin. First is create, update, delete, and read. To create and update, they can admin can choose create and update, and there is one chooses if we choose create update. We stop it. Admin can input the data to add, and then save the data. When the data or when the admin save the data, system can play or display an notification like apakah data yang Anda simpan sesuai. Jika if the data is sesuai, maka akan tersimpan. But if the data not specific or not really true, system can change, can display form input data. So there is can have been done. So if admin delete the data, system can play this, and there is a question. If the yes, so the data can delete, and if no, the data back to system can back the admin to the this. And to read, we can choose the file that we read, that the admin can read. So overall, there is one choices is new data. So the data can save by the admin. Next is recapitulation, create, read, update, and delete. The process can do by stop BAA and lecture. The process start by stop BAA. The first stop BAA can access the system, and then system can display the dashboard. Lecture can have an action if the data saved in the recapitulation database. The next is start BAA can click navbar recapitulation ujian, and then there is 4 choices. The first choices is create and create. If we choose create and update, there is one choices is to input data input. So after we input the data, we can save the data, and if the data have saved, there is 2 questions by the system. The first is apakah data yang Anda simpan telah sesuai? If yes, data can save, and if no, system can display this form, input the data again, and there is the last of create and update. And the second is delete. If the stop BAA can delete the data, stop BAA choose the data that can be delete, and then system can see the question is apakah data Anda ingin dihapus? If yes, so the data was deleted, and if no, data system can display this question, this page with another choices. And if read, start BAA can choose the data that we read, so the system can viewing the data specifically. And after that, or all of that, can have a new data. New data can save by the system in the database recapitulation database. So after the data can save in the database, so Dosen can see the data after he access the system. So to see the data, Dosen choose navbar recapitulation in their dashboard. So system can manage the data so that the data can be displayed by the system, and then Dosen can see the data recapitulation. So there is a correct recapitulation by start BAA and lecture or Dosen. So this is the end of the process. Furthermore, create from type soal, tipe soal. The process can explain how to create from tipe soal by start BAA so that lecturer can note the notice or can bring the notice to examination. The first is by Dosen, and with access the system, and the system can display form login, and Dosen can input username and password so that system have an authentication by the data. And then if the authentication is failed, the system can bring or have an interruption. So lecturer input username and password again, and if the authentication is successful, the system can display the dashboard. So to create from type soal by the dashboard, Dosen choose a menit from type tipe soal in the dashboard. So and then choose mata kuliah, and then Dosen or lecturer create form, and then send the prompts after he bring the prompt, and the data by the prompt can save in the database by data tipe soal. So there is the end of the process. Next is soal ujian. This process can explain how start BAA print soal ujian by the system. The first is by Staf BAA with access the system, and then system can display form login. So Staf BAA input username and password, and then system can have an authentication, and if the authentication is failed, so the system can have interruption, so that Staf BAA input username and password again. If the authentication is successful, the system can display dashboard. To print soal ujian by the system, Staf BAA must choose menu soal ujian, and then after choose menu soal ujian by click menu soal ujian in the system, system can display this page, and then Staf BAA see the soal ujian per mata kuliah, and then click the button view in this file, so the system can specifically display soal ujian mahasiswa per mata kuliah. And the last is recapitulation. Recapitulation can explain this process by Staf BAA and Dosen. And how about hide in the system? The first is Staf BAA with access the system. So by the accessing the system can display dashboard, and then Staf BAA click navbar recapitulation ujian, and then there is 4 choices: create, update, delete, and read. Create, update have a one choice. If we choose to create and update, there is input data page, and we can save the data by after we input the data. There is notice by the system is with a question, apakah data yang Anda simpan telah sesuai? If yes, data can save, and if no, the system can back you to this page, input the data again. And then delete, we can, if you choose delete data, we have to choose the data that we can delete, so the system can have notice, apakah data Anda ingin dihapus? If yes, data can delete, and if no, the system can back you to this form on this page. And the last is read. If we read the data, we can choose data that we can read. There is after all of there is new data. New data can save in the database recapitulation. After the data recapitulation, Dosen can see this data by accesses the system, and then click or choose navbar recapitulation, so the system can display the recapitulation data specifically. And there is end of the process. Overall, a business process is a collection of linked tasks which find their end of the delivery or a service or product to a client. A business process has also been defined as a set of activities and tasks that once completed will accomplish organizational goal. The process must involve clearly defined input and single output. There is single output, and these input are made up of all of the factors which is contribute either directly or indirectly to the added value of a service product. This factor can be categorized into managing process, operational process, and supporting business process. This is management process. Management process can govern the operation of a particular organization's system of operation. Operational process constitute the core business. Supporting process such as human resources and accounting are put place to support the core business. A process requires a series of actions to achieve a certain objective. BPMN process are continuous but also allow for ad hoc action. Process can be simple or complex based on number or steps. There are steps, number of systems involved, etc. They can B. They can be short or long-running. Longer process tend to have multiple dependencies and greater documentation requirement. So there is all about BPMN or business process modeling that we have made. And next can by my friend.
This is a sequence diagram of the function of view the result of lecture request. This function is carried out by BAA staff. In this sequence diagram, the first step taken by BAA staff is to log in on a web page, then send lecture with view request dosen. After that, the object controller that submit the request to the object model is to retrieve the lecture's request data by the method getDataRequestDosen. The between objects also send the request back with the lecture's return request method, lecture return view request dosen, and so view request dosen method. Then the system display the results of lecture system request on web page. Thus, PA staff can see the results of lecture requests. This is a sequence diagram of the function to create a recapitulation of the implementation that was conducted of the BAA staff role. In this sequence diagram, there are two activities, namely create and delete. The first step taken by the BAA staff is to login using the login method, then send a request with the method using the create method. Then to submit a request to the object model, the view object sends it by calling the getCreate method to the controller object. Then the controller calls the getData method to communicate and retrieve data from the object model, after which the object sends in the request back. In the return data method, return from data method and show data method. Then the system displays the exam recapitulation on a web page. Then the BA staff adds the data to the web page, then sends a request with the save data method. Then the data has also been edited or saved to the object model by using the save data method. Then if the BA staff want to delete the data, the BA staff sends a delete request and the data is successfully deleted on the model object using the delete data method. This is a sequence diagram of the function of printing news reports performed on the BAA staff role. The first step taken by BAA staff is to login on a web page using the login method. Then send a request with the method used, namely the berita acara method. Then to submit request to the object models, the view object sends it by calling the getBerita acara method to the object controller. Then to controller calls the getBerita acara method to communicate and retrieve data from the model object, after which the object also sends the request back with the return berita acara method, return view berita acara method, and show view berita acara method. Then the system displays news data of the page. Then the BAA staff sends a request using the method then is the print berita acara method. Then to submit a request to the model object, the view object sends it by calling the method getPrintDataAcara method to the controller object. Then the controller calls the method getPrintDataAcara method to communicate and retrieve data from the model object. After that, between object also send the request back with the return print data berita acara, return view data berita acara method, and show print data berita acara method. Then the system display news events, news berita acara that are ready to be printed. This is a sequence diagram printing the external list. The flow of this sequence diagram is the same as the sequence diagram printing the news. Next. This is a sequence diagram printing the test label. The flow of this sequence diagram is the same as the sequence diagram printing the news. Next. This is a sequence diagram printing the exam question. The flow of the sequence diagram is the same as the sequence diagram printing the news. This is a sequence diagram of the lecture account management function that is performed on the admin role. In the sequence diagram, there are three activities, namely create, edit, and delete. The first step taken by the admin is to log into the web page using the login method. Then send request with the method, use the create method. Then to submit a request to the object models, the view object sends it by calling get create method to the control object. Then the controller calls the get data method to communicate and retrieve data from the model object. After which the object sends the request back with the return data method, get from data method, and show from data method. Then the admin adds the admin adds data to the web page, then sends a request with the save data. With the save data, but the data has also been edited or saved to the object model by using the save data method. Then, if the admin wants to edit data, the admin sends this request using the method that is edit method. Then to submit a request to the model object, the view object sends by calling the get edit method to the control object. Then the control calls the get data method to communicate and retrieve data from the model objects. After the between objects also send the request back with the return data method, get from edit method, and show from edit method. Then the system displays news data lectures on the have been updated. Then if admin who want to delete data, the admin sends the delete request and the data is successful deleted on the model object using the delete data method. This is a sequence diagram manage BAA staff accounts. The flows of the sequence diagram is the same as the sequence diagram manage lecture accounts. Next, this is a sequence diagram manage data faculty. The flow of the sequence diagram is the same as the sequence diagram manage lecture account. This is a sequence diagram of the import function schedule performed on the PAI staff. In the sequence diagram, there are two activities named import and update. The first step taken by PA staff is to log in to page using the login method, then send a request using the method, then its import jadwal method, then to submit a request to the model object. The view object sends it by calling the get import jadwal method in to the control object. Then the controller invokes get jadwal method to communicate and retrieve data from the model object. After which, between objects sends the request back with the return jadwal method, return from jadwal method, and show from jadwal method. Then the VA staff stores the data on the web page. Then send a request with the save jadwal method. The data has also been stored on the object model by using the save data method. Then, if the BAA staff wants to update the data, the staff BAA sends a request with the method uses the update jadwal method. Then the controller calls the get data update method to communicate and handle data from the object models on demand. After that, between object also sends the request back with the return update jadwal, return from update jadwal, and show update jadwal. Then the system display news data schedule that have been added. Then the BA sends a request with the save jadwal method to store data. After that, to submit a request to the model object, the view object set is recalling that get save jadwal method to controller object. The data has also been saved to the model object using the save data method. Has also been the model object using the save data method. This is a sequence diagram of the build function lectures request form that is carried out on the lectures first. The first step taken by the lecturers is to log in on a web page using the login method. Then send request using the method usage, the form type as well method. Then to submit a request to the model objects, the view objects, and by calling the from the get from type as well method to the controller object. Then the controller calls the get data from type as well to handle the request to the model objects. After that, between objects also sends the request back with the return from type as well method, return from type as well method, and show from type as well method. Then the system display the form type equation and a web page. Then after form is displayed, the lecturer sends a request with the method is the create type as well. Create type as well method triggered in the form. Then to submit a request to the model object, the view object sends by calling that get create type as well method to the controller object. Then the controller calls the data type as well to communicate and handle data from the model objects. After that, between also send return type as well, send the request back with the return type as well method, return from type as well, and show from type as well method. Then the lecturer adds data to the web page, then sends a request save from type as well method. Then data has also been edited or saved to the model objects using the get save data type as well method.
Okay, I will continue about my friend's explanation. On this occasion, I will explain about the database. The database that I explain includes the entity relationship diagram or ERD, conceptual data model or CDM, and physical data model or PDM. In this ERD, we can see that there are 12 entity. There are ujian, fakultas, dosen, request dosen, jadwal, prodi, mata kuliah, staf BAA, berita acara, label ujian, daftar hadir, and kelas, where each entity has a relationship with other entity, and each entity has its own attributes, where one of the attributes is primary key. The primary key cannot be the same as the other attribute because the primary key is the link between one entity with other entities. Each primary key is given at initial ID so that can be easily to publish. In this RD, we can also see the relation with other entity. Okay, I will continue about my friend's explanation. On this occasion, I will explain about the database. The database that I explain includes the entity relationship diagram or ERD, conceptual data model or CDM, and physical data model or PDM. In this ERD, we can see that there are 12 entity. There are ujian, fakultas, dosen, request dosen, jadwal, prodi, mata kuliah, staf BAA, berita acara, label ujian, daftar hadir, and kelas, where each entity has a relationship with other entity, and each entity has its own attributes, where one of the attributes is primary key. The primary key cannot be the same as the other attribute because the primary key is the link between one entity with other entities. Each primary key is given at initial ID so that can be easily to publish. In this ARD, we can also see the relation with other entity. There is one-to-many and one-to-one. Next, I will explain about the conceptual data model or CDM. CDM is a graphical diagram that illustrates the entire logical structure of the database. In this model of exciting data in the real world, it is translated or transformed by utilizing a number of conceptual tools into a data diagram. On this screen, we can see 13 tables or entities. They are the same with ARD, with an additional one table. There is KRS, where each table also has a relationship with other tables. This CDM is almost the same with ARD, just more specific, and this CDM uses Martin notation. In this picture, we can see that the attribute or CDM also has a primary key that is marked with an underscore, like this. The attributes in CDM also display the type of attributes such as integer, varchar, and etc. like this. There is date and time too, like this. After the conceptual data model or CDM, there are of course the physical data model. The physical data model we can see from this picture. Seems like a CDM, but it's different. PDM is a physical description of the database that will be created by considering the DBMS that will be used. PDM can be generated from the CDM that has been created before. In its application, PDM can be linked to a relationship schema, whose function is to model the physical structure and in detail from the database. In PDM, the relationship between entities used is cardinality relationship, where the one-to-one relationship will be marked by a line and contain a one-to-one relationship statement. One-to-many relation is also marked by link, and sync of a relationship is one-to-many, and primary key in table 1 will become foreign key in many tables. And many-to-many relation will be create a new table that contains two primary key of each table forming many-to-many relationship. There are several differences between CDM and PDM. CDM and PDM. CDM is a database designed based on data collection and analysis, making CDM a stage where we carry out the process of identifying and analyzing data requirements, and this is called data collection and analysis. To determine the needs of the database system, we must first know the other parts of the information system that will be interact with the database system. Data types are general and not specific. Meanwhile, PDM is a physical database design. Data types are more specific and specific. PDM design is physical or actual representation. Okay, I will display a demo of our application. In here, I will display as a role admin, or also we known as SDI in ITD. I will log in as admin. I will log in with use my username and my password. After login in on the dashboard page, there will only be a text that selamat datang di Administrasi Ujian-2020 Teknologi Del. Next, I will go to menu pengguna. Admin will be able to create, read, update, and delete account of staff, BAA, and Dosen. Here I will add the role of staff and Dosen. First, I choose Dosen. I try to delete it first. Then I will add Dosen. After add, we can see the account of the Dosen that I will add before. I met her name Risa Sitohang with the username Risa and password Risa123. Then I will try to edit it by changing the username. The display will ask for the password again. You can directly change the password, or you can use the old password as long as it's not empty. I don't change the password. still Risa 1, I only changed the username. Then I will create account with the role staff. I will make the same thing for the staff BAA as I create in Dosen. I will create account with the name Martin Simanjuntak with username Martin and password Martin 123. We can see that after I add the account will be displayed on this table. Then I try to edit it. I try to change the password. Password will be changed as Martin. Okay. Next, there is Fakultas menu, which consists of Fakultas, Prodi, and Class. On this menu, you can create, read, update, and delete that data for Prodi, Class, and Fakultas in ITD. First, I will create the faculty. There is button tambah fakultas. After we add the fakultas, we can add two if there are wrong, like this. And we can delete too. You can also do the same thing in the Prodi and Class menu. I will edit the Prodi. Have finished at the prodi based on their facultas. We can edit too and we can delete too. If there are wrong or the prodi has not needed again. Remember that uh, the facultas and prodi are interconnected, where you have to create the facultas first, then you can create the prodi. Okay, after that I will add the class. I will add the class based on the class will be add based on the prodi, like this. Prodi informatika. You can also edit it. And you can also delete it. Remember that you also have to create the prodi first, then you can create the class. After creating faculty or fakultas, prodi and class, you can fill the mata kuliah based on the prodi. You can also create the mata kuliah menu or create, update and delete. I will create mata kuliah for D4 Teknologi Rekayasa Perangkat Lunak. I will add mata kuliah based on data in GIS that I prepared before. Fill the code and fill the nama mata kuliah, then add tambah. I will add one more. Yes. See, you can edit if there are the name of the code of mata kuliah wrong, or you can delete it too. Okay, after doing all the tasks that you do in this application, you can log out by selecting the menu of log out in here. Thank you.
In this part, I will continue about the role model of lecture. The first, we must enter our username and the password, and the system will display like this. And then there is a notification in there. So if the administrative staff accept or reject our request, the notification will be displayed in here. And then we will request the lecture. We must choose one of the faculties and then study program, and then we choose one like this. So we duration of the exam, theory, and the class of the exam equals or not. And then we can choose maybe like we say GD 714, and then we choose the jumlah mahasiswa, and then we send the request, and the request will be sent to administrative staff, so administrative staff can manage the request dosen. And then in this menurut status request there are two parts. namely refuse or accept the request. And the last, the role model can log out from the system. Thank you.
Okay, in this part, I will explain or demo of the system, namely administration staff. In this target system, I have already explained about the role staff. In this part, I will explain what they will do in the system. And the first, actually, we must log in, enter username, sign in or login. Oh, password wrong. We login again. And this display of home screen of administration stuff. And this menu, request lecturers. And these request lecturers, we can print all of the requests, and also print one by one, something like this. View, print, and this the result of print one, and also we can print all back. And this can print all, and this print all, the result of print all. Next, of the elders meaning, namely attendance list. We can print or we must import the carriers first. Carriers file screw, next open and import. And we can print the schedule list. Choose the Fruity, then choose course X, and print is the result of print of the schedule list. Next, recapitulation examination. In this part, Mrs. Staff can download the recap, this, and can edit. And this recapitulation, the staff only change the professor. Example, change save GKS. Next, minutes or with acara. In this section, Mrs. can print out print just the first. Next, can print the minutes. We waiting for the result. This is the result of minutes or with acara. Next, the exam label. The exam label we can also print waiting in this the result of the exam label. Next, the info schedule. Administration staff can info the schedule with extension and Excel. Example like this: import, choose file, open, data. But the administration staff uh, can change the data, but the staff only can delete it like this. Delete. Yes. Okay, and the last administration staff can log out from.
And then in second final project, our progress report like mom, PIP, log activity, TOR, SWTD or software technical document, and final report will be collected in a Google Drive that we have been sent to our coordinator. And then that's all about our presentation from group 1. We know we have a lot of mistake. For that we beg to forgive us. Thank you.